the intersection of Hedera with artificial intelligence and machine learning and LLMs and all of that stuff for agents and for other purposes. And this intersection of the Web3 world with the AI world is actually critical because both of these two halves are the future. They really are. They're changing the world independently. Their intersection is even more important.
And so Hashgraph, Hedera in this case, is providing the trust layer for AI. Now, they're sort of the earliest uses of Hashgraph or Hedera for AI that we've already talked about and everybody kind of understands. And that is providing provenance of LLMs.
There were just two short clips, ladies and gentlemen, of Mance Harmon and Lehman Baird, the founders of the Hedera Hashgraph algorithm and distributed ledger platform, talking about AI and distributed ledger, specifically Hedera Hashgraph, and how they are the future of our world. They're both very impactful technologies, and perhaps the coalition between the two really is going to create a powerhouse, and they will advance one another. So one of the main problems with AI is provenance, governance, things like this. And actually with a distributed ledger, you can do this extremely easily. And we're going to listen to what Lehman has to say on all of this. But this video is really on the back end of something that I saw the Hedera Foundation post. Now, I said here, interesting link up. And this was about 3 hours ago. It's going to be a little bit longer from when you guys are watching this video. But they put here, a day spent with ALTMAN, who we're going to talk about in a second. He has 24.2 million followers, and we'll look at what this is about in just a second, over on X, and Sama, being Sam Altman, who of course is the king of AI, perhaps, with OpenAI and various other things. And of course they mention another individual here, and they say, and this individual, by the way, is from the Hedera Foundation, blockchain, crypto, and AI. We know that there's a great coalition between certainly Hedera Hashgraph and AI. We've seen partnerships with NVIDIA and Hedera specifically through Equity Labs. Also, Intel's involved in that. But they say they've been discussing secret mounting. And this is one of the pictures that came from it. You can see Sam is here. The next picture is probably more interesting. And people will say this is Photoshop. This is Sam Altman here. And they're paying attention to a screen that has on it Hedera Hashgraph. We've said this, and we're going to continue to say it, that Hedera Hashgraph is probably one of the most best positioned distributed ledger technologies to not only be embraced by the world of AI, but enterprise and global scale usage more broadly. And that's why we are backing it. In fact, it's my largest position. It's my largest position for a reason. We can perhaps talk about the price action, but this is huge. It's got many wondering, what the hell is going on? Why is Sam Altman staring at a screen with Hedera on it? And why is he partnering, or why is he involved with the individual from the Hedera Foundation, Rignesh Raja, and ALTMAN? Now, ALTMAN is a big deal. He posted this. It was a pleasure to meet Sam Altman at his office. We discussed secret mounting, a virtual global band, and to empower and uplift Indian minds to use AI's tools to address generational challenges and lead the way forward. You can see ChatGPT India is tagged, OpenAI is tagged, and then the Hashgraph is also tagged. This is rather interesting. This was a press release that I found. It says A.R. Rahman meets Sam Altman announcing collaboration for his AI-powered project, Secret Mounting. The aim is to build a virtual global band that brings singers and mentors to one platform. It says what is happening. A.R. Rahman and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman are joining hands as they brainstorm over the Singers up-and-coming virtual global band project, where AI will blend seamlessly with music. A.R. Rahman met Sam Altman recently at the Latter's office, where they discussed at length about the various ways by which Indian creators can be empowered. They also spoke about the many generational challenges that these creators have to combat and how they can be dealt with AI. He goes on to say, it was a pleasure to meet. We've read this, and of course tags Hashgraph. So Hedera Hashgraph, I'm not sure how, when, if. I'm sure if they're involved, but I'm not sure how and why they're involved. They are indeed involved. And this is a big deal. And actually, this is just another perfect example of how the world is leveraging Hedera Hashgraph, which we've believed it's going to for a hell of a long time. And this is with two huge individuals, Sam Altman being one. And we know, we looked at those two opening clips, that there is a massive convergence between AI, specifically AI and Hedera Hashgraph. And we see that with NVIDIA, Intel, and many others. Hedera Hashgraph is really the trust layer. It's going to enable and give trust to the likes of AI. It's going to further it, in my opinion. But more broadly than that, it's going to be a trust layer for many other things. We've interviewed lots of people that are literally solving what up until this point was unsolvable problems, like what we're seeing in the financial sector with removing all these intermediaries and middlemen with Hedera Hashgraph. We interview a lot of them. We've got a lot more interviews coming up. So this is nothing short of huge. This perhaps would explain why Hedera's price, I mean, at one point it was up nearly 8-9%. It's come back down a little bit, but I think the weight of the market's dragging it down. Generally, you guys know just how bullish I am on Hedera Hashgraph and where I think it's currently at and where I believe it's going. What I want to do now is recap on what Lehman had said himself about the intersection between AI and blockchain, and we'll have him talk a little bit more about why this coalition is so important and what it's essentially going to enable. Let's dive into this clip.
Yes. So DLTs are powerful. The blockchain world knows that. And AI is powerful. And the two together are extremely powerful. And they're both changing the world. And so lots of people are talking about both of them right now because there's just so much going on. And of course, I did Hashgraph and Hedera. I'm a blockchain, DLT, that kind of person. But my PhD was originally in AI. It was reinforcement learning, talking about how you could do with deep neural networks, all the stuff we're talking about these days. So it's just exciting to see it all come full circle. You asked about the intersection. That's what everybody asks about. So there's several different ways that these two worlds intersect. Right now, people are very worried about what happens when you have generative AI like ChatGPT, and it is malicious in some way because someone slipped in bad training data. So the beauty of these new AI systems is that you don't program in very much at all. Almost everything is just learned from the data. The bad thing is everything's learned from the data. So if you have bad data, it's garbage in, garbage out. And so we really care about the data. And so you mentioned Equity Labs, which are doing cool things where they keep track of the data used to train the AI. And it may not be that simple. It may be that some data was used to train an AI, and then more data was used to tune that AI, and then maybe even more data was used to train it. And in the future, maybe that you have two different neural networks that each train separately, and now somehow they're working together to train a third one. You can even do that. You can have a neural network in the loop of the training, and you could have humans in the loop, where humans have to say yes or no on various things and give feedback. And you'd like to record what they gave as their feedback. They did additional training. It gets complicated. And so what they were doing is they draw out this entire tree of how data trained the various pieces of this and kept coming in with more data and so on. And it can just get more complicated over time. And then they use Hedera to immutably record this. And so when you finally end up with a model here is the stuff that it learned. It's a bunch of numbers. It's just the weights inside the neural network. But that list of numbers, that is the model that was trained from all this data. They can say, well, here's a hash of it. And if you check it and it has that hash, then you know you have the model that was trained from this whole tree that we have. So this is exciting. I think there's a lot that can be done in this intersection. I've heard people talk about using secure hardware that will digitally sign as it's doing the learning. Then, of course, you have to trust the hardware. But okay, maybe that's one more layer of security. And then all of this can get anchored into DLT. So the ledger of Hedera can hold all this stuff. It stays forever. It can never go back and be changed. And that's helpful. That is what you need to be able to trust this. Then you also want to go back and look at the data. So what can have is hashes of the data sets, and you go back and you look at the data set, but you compare it to that immutable hash, and you know that it's the real data set that was used. This is one part of the intersection, and it's what we just talked about.
I want to get into all the intersections between AI and crypto because there are many, but that's a big one. The power of this technology is really the fact that you can trust it. And through doing that, it enables this global, trustable world where you don't need intermediaries. You can trust that something has been accurately recorded and is immutable. And that can be applied to virtually any industry. What we're seeing is it applied to the AI industry. In this specific case, it's a very interesting picture of Sam Altman sat in front of a screen looking at a Hedera graph. Very interesting indeed. We'll give you more news on this as we get it. It's going to be worth us looking into secret mounting and how exactly they're planning on utilizing Hedera Hashgraph because it's pretty apparent by those images that they are. As far as Hedera Hashgraph's concerned, from a price point of view, you guys know my opinion. We're in phase 2 now. That was confirmed on this retest. We said a retest would come. You've got broad continuation ahead of you. And I believe you're going to see, and it is just my opinion, a multiple dollar Hedera Hashgraph price in the next year, couple of years. Up to you guys what you choose to do with that information. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks everyone for watching. And I'll see you all in the next one.